Hey guys, so this is Hannah, evolutionary astrologer, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to chat with you about a pretty big shift in our skies. 2025 is a year full of big activations. It's a year full of shifts, full of new cycles, and this is probably the very first big one of 2025, which is the nodes of the moon changing from Aries Libra to Virgo Pisces. So it's always the nodes of the moon, they're always working in an axis of polarities. And this is a pretty big deal. So even if you're watching this later in the year, I'm recording this in the beginning of 2025, but even if you're watching this you know, later in 2025 or even in 2026, this is still super relevant because the nodes of the moon are going to be in this axis, in the axis of Virgo Pisces for 18 months. It's a cycle of 18 months. So from January 2025 all the way until July 2026. But let's backtrack for a moment. So let's go back to what was going on before this. So since July 2023, the nodes have been in the signs of Aries and Libra. Aries and Libra is the axis of relationship. It's me versus others, me and other people, or me with others, working, cooperating with other people, partnerships, alliances versus I'm gonna go and do my own thing. So it's been so much about our relationships, our interpersonal relationships. Probably they were shaking up, right? It's the axis of war and peace, when to say yes and when to say no, when to compromise, when to listen, and when to speak up, when to stand our ground, and ultimately how to find balance. So, this past year and a half, one of the big themes that all of us were working on was, who am I? What do I want? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? How to be fully who I am and express that fully, but also be with other people, also be in relationships, also work with others. And with the North Node in Aries, Aries always carries such a message of liberation, breaking free from anything, from anyone that is holding us back, from patterns, from maybe it's the job or a relationship you're in that was holding you back. And this past year and a half was about maybe breaking free from it. And now this has shifted. Now the themes have shifted. So now we left Aries, Libra, and we're now in the axis of Virgo Pisces. So new themes, new questions, new resolutions, new explorations. And like I mentioned before, this is going to be a cycle of 1.5 years, 18 months to be exact. So this is going to be active until the end of July 2026. Very powerful, very relevant, very important for everyone. Collectively speaking, the themes, the lessons of Virgo Pisces are on the spotlight for all of us, for humanity. So a lot of our collective growth, particularly this is particularly important in your personal growth if you have Virgo placements or Pisces placements, which means planets in Virgo or in Pisces. That's going to be even more important for you. So if you don't know your chart, I do suggest that you calculate your chart online. There's so many ways to do that. And so if you have planets in Virgo Pisces, that's really relevant. But also if you have planets in Gemini and Sag, because that's going to make, the nodal axis is going to make a 90-degree angle, a square to your planets in Gemini and Sagittarius. Okay, so that's going to be even more important for you. So and lastly, if you have the nodal axis in Virgo Pisces, or if you know someone with this axis, with this nodal axis, which means if you have the south node in Virgo or the north node in Virgo, and vice versa. If you have the South Node in Pisces or the North Node in Pisces, you're going to have a nodal return year or a reverse nodal return year, which is very important, very meaningful. It's a year where everything that you're doing, the people you're talking to, the people you're meeting, the projects you're starting, the cycles you're ending, the cycles you're starting, like everything has more meaning. Everything is even more connected to your soul journey, to your soul's intention in this incarnation. So it's a time of alignment, aligning with the path you have designed for yourself for this life. So this is from a personal level, check your chart, consult with your astrologer. Um, so that, of course, then you're going to get something very direct and very personal to you. But what I want to speak to you about is from a more collective level, which means that, again, we're all going to be working with these themes. We're all going to be working with the axis of Virgo Pisces. So this means that there's going to be changes, there's going to be activations, and our priorities are also shifting. Another really important thing, the majority of the eclipses coming up will be happening in this axis. And if you don't know this, eclipse periods are really significant. It's a time of transformation. It's a time for changes. It's a time, those are game changers in our lives. So what's happening during the eclipse season, those 6 to 8 weeks that we have twice a year is extremely important. Okay, so let's talk about this nodal axis. Well, first of all, what is the nodal axis? The nodal axis is also called the nodes of the moon, and they're not actual celestial bodies, like the planets, like the moon and the sun and Saturn and Jupiter. The nodes of the moon are not exactly, they're not really physical bodies. They are points of intersection between the sun and the moon in relationship to our planet, in relationship to the earth. And you always have the south node and the north node, and they're always working in a pair. That's what we want to do. We want to bring those two polarities into balance. So, that's the intention, to find middle ground, to find the integration point and bring the best of both worlds. What is Virgo and Pisces about? And what is this axis about? What are the themes that are going to be on the spotlight for all of us? Work, employment. So everything around work dynamics, your colleagues, your projects, your work environment, the type of work you're doing, your service, your output, your gift to humanity. Whatever you're doing, whatever output into life, that's a service to everyone else. So even if you're sitting in a cubicle and not interacting with anyone, you're still producing, you're still nourishing, you're still feeding life. So for me, I'm an astrologer. That's my Virgo, right? That's my work. But it's also that's also the Pisces side of it, which is my service to life. It's how I use my skills, my creativity, my time, my energy, all the Virgo components in order to serve others. That's the Pisces, through this incredible system of knowledge. So it's the same for you. So we can expect work, shifts at work. Maybe there's new projects, maybe there's new positions, maybe there's new cycles, old cycles ending. Maybe you're changing your line of work. Maybe there's some sort of restructuring in your work environment, in your company. So employment is really significant here. The other thing is health. Virgo is an earth sign. It's a physical, earth signs speak about the physical material dimension and our bodies, right? So especially Virgo speaks about how we take care of our bodies, how we take care of our vehicle, our physical body, as the home of our spirit, the home of our soul, but in a very practical, everyday sort of way. So Virgo asks, how's your health? How's your routine? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? Are you drinking enough water? Are you brushing your teeth regularly? Are you flossing? How's your daily maintenance? How's your routine working? How's your life functioning? So it's very much a time to uplevel our game, to bring things back into order if things have been out of alignment, but from a really practical way, a very day-to-day level. So it's a time to get your medical exams and your checkups. It's time to start going to the gym, count your macros, start your diet, like you, wherever you feel like you could be doing better, first of all, for yourself. Are you getting enough sleep? Or are you starting your day with, I don't know, a Pop-Tart and sugary cereal? How can we all up level our game here? How can we bring more health into our lives? So a really good question here is you know, is there any sort of, neglect, anything that is out of order? Because Virgo is all about our functionality. And in order to function well, in order for us to be productive, to feel good, to have energy, to feel, to have energy and able to get things done, we need our body strong and healthy. So, daily management is really, really important. So that's the Virgo side, which is physical health. But we have the Pisces side as well, which is a very different approach. And yet they complement each other. Remember, the nodal axis, what we want to do is bring the two polarities together in balance. And Pisces is a water sign. So Virgo is about physical health, Pisces is about spiritual health. Virgo is about doing, getting things done, being proactive. And Pisces is about being. So very different modes of operation. And again, we want to bring them together. So it's a time for us to not only take good care of our bodies, but also a time to nourish our spiritual health. So, maybe for some people, we've been doing really, really well in terms of our daily lives, our routine, our daily management, our work, our health. Maybe we're doing really well, but it's been all about doing, doing, doing. And that's the Virgo. You know, a lot of doing and not a lot of time for being. And that's the Pisces side. So maybe part of the spiritual health here, maybe part of this balance is about doing less. Maybe it's about taking more time off, sleeping more, relaxing. With Virgo, we always have the risk of burning out, overworking, overdoing. So in order to bring, again, more order, that's the dichotomy here. It's about doing less. So maybe we're taking too many supplements. Maybe we're exercising too much. And now part of the health package is about eating dessert, taking a week off from the gym. So that's going to depend so much on where you are in these polarities. Um, but it's such a time, it's such an important time to spend time paying attention and nurturing and developing our spiritual world, our spiritual connections. And of course, that's going to be very different from person to person. You know, so but one question that I think we can all kind of connect with is how are you tapping into your spirituality? How are you bringing this to your daily life? So not once a month, but every day. If Virgo is routine and Pisces is spirit, at its best, it's bringing spirit to our daily, everyday life. So, how are you connecting with whatever name you want to use? God, the universe, your higher self, spirit, your guides, whatever name you want to use it, whatever name you resonate with. How are you connecting with that every day? So, some ideas, it's any sort of divination practice, crystals, maybe it's Maybe it's pulling a card every day. Maybe, it's learning tarot. Maybe it's, getting out of our to-do list in order to nurture that connection with spirit. Maybe it's about nature. Maybe, Pisces it represents nature. So maybe it's about sitting under a tree and putting your feet on the soil and hugging the trees and smelling the flowers and speaking to the animals or any sort of meditation, any sort of activity that can help you silence the mind and really attuning to the present moment. Because Pisces says, hey, it's in the present moment where we can really receive the intuitions, the information, the transmissions. Maybe it's going to the temple, maybe it's going to church, the mosque, maybe it's an actual physical place where you feel connected. Maybe it's praying, maybe it's bringing more gratitude practices, connecting with your ancestors, honoring the spiritual realm. Maybe it's bringing more ritual into your life. So whatever practices you resonate with, um, that's a really important time to up level that game and really connect with it. And again, I wanted to bring this up because, they're not, when we speak about physical health and spiritual health, they're not different things. Because when our bodies are strong and we eat good food and we are nourished, and that's when our bodies and our minds and our hearts can make it even, you know, we can connect even more to the spiritual work. We can bring more of the heaven into the earth in a more grounded way instead of getting lost up here. So that's I think one really big intention for humanity. And going back to the Virgo a little bit, going back to that polarity, I also want to say anything that needs cleaning, fixing, polishing, anything that's broken, anything that we can benefit for bringing the pieces together, bringing the parts together. I like to think of the messy drawer, how we always have that messy drawer that we know that needs cleaning and organizing, but it's kind of there and we kind of procrastinate. So, let's think about that messy drawer as a symbolism here. What needs to be cleaned up in your life? And where in your life there are some cracks, right? And maybe where have you been neglecting yourself or maybe neglecting your relationships? Maybe it's work, maybe it's friendships, maybe it's family life, maybe it's your body and your health. So again, bringing that practical stuff and being proactive about it. And maybe it's about our patterns. Maybe it's about our ways of doing things that are not working, that we need to polish and fix. Because ultimately, Virgo Pisces is about healing the body, healing the mind, healing the soul, healing the family wounds, healing our relationships. It's a beautiful axis because it's the healer, it's the healing, and it's also speaking of the healed. So, and we're all in different places, right? Maybe we're healers in some aspects in our lives. Maybe in other aspects we need healing. So this is the time as well to bring these pieces together. And hopefully, as we hear ourselves, I think it's also an opportunity for humanity to heal as well. God knows we need it. So one way of doing that is through small acts of compassion. The North Node in Pisces reminds us of compassion, forgiveness, being forgiven, opening up our hearts, having mercy, being kind to one another, and first of all, being kind to ourselves. And if there are things or people that you may want to, maybe you need to make peace with, maybe where you've been holding a grudge and where there is resentment, where there is maybe anger, this Pisces North Node can really help us to let go, to release, to forgive. And this North Node in Pisces, again, looking at a message for humanity, it's reminding us of what brings us together, how we're all different, right? We all have different personalities, we have different jobs, we have different preferences. But if you take all of that out, like we're the same species, we're made of the same elements. We all look very similar. We all have, two eyes and one mouth and two ears. We all need food. We all need water. We all need to sleep. We all need love. We all need to be healthy. We all, want to thrive and have a good life. So again, Pisces says, humanity, remember, we're in this together. So hopefully less war and more peace. The dream of peace is Pisces. Pisces is the dreamer. It's dreaming of peace. But the Virgo South Node, remember, it's the doing. So it says, how can we take steps towards creating the peace or anything else? Bringing the dream into your reality. So it's a balancing act, right? It's grounding the dreams and the ideals of Pisces while using the practical discernment of Virgo to bring them into reality. So, in what context does that show up for you? This is the invitation. And this is the challenge as well, to bring the mystical with the practical, to bring the material with the spiritual. So times of doing, times of taking action, times of, taking control and making things happen, and times of not doing, times of being, times of waiting, trusting that there are forces that are bigger than us that are also, it's part of the greater scheme of things. So another suggestion is to start to look for the answers in unexpected places. That's the role of Pisces. When we talk about Pisces in relationship to our soul and our soul journey, Pisces says, hey, you need to stretch your envelope. The ways, there's so much out there, and you need to tune into other ways, other forms of existence, other realms, in order to expand yourself that way, expand yourself spiritually. So if you're looking for direction, guidance, where to do, where to go, what to do, now it's the time to really include the spiritual forces. Again, whatever way that shows up for you. So pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to the synchronicities in your life, the subtleness of life, and um, and that includes if you have a plan for 2025 and 2026, you want things to go a certain way. But if you notice that things start to take a different route, unexpected ways, maybe there's unexpected deviations, trust that there's a higher part of you in your soul, your spirit, that's really taking you to where you need to go, to where you need to be at. And sometimes it's an amazing, beautiful place. It's an incredible experience. It's so much more than you could ever imagine. And sometimes it's not. And sometimes there's a need to accept that the plan we had, the vision we had, is not going to come true. It's not going to happen, or at least not right now. So Pisces teaches us to let go, to relinquish. And another thing that I also want to mention for us to be really careful about is bypassing pain, you know, sadness and the shadow work and anything that's uncomfortable that brings discomfort. With Pisces, with this Piscean energy, it can lead to all sorts of escapism, life is not working out for me, so I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to disconnect, using whatever sort of distraction. Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's video games, maybe it's your social life, but it's whatever activity that takes you away from facing what's happening internally. And maybe even your spiritual practice can be a form of bypassing. So that's really important to pay attention to. And that also brings, it's the Virgo side that says, okay, what's going on? Let's look at it. Let's heal. And let's take steps to bring the healing. Let's not just dream of the healing. Let's look at it. Let's do something about it. Let's go to therapy. And then the last thing I want to say, just one quick suggestion is with this North Node in Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. So anything around water is super powerful here. First of all, we're all made of water. You know, I don't know, 70% of our constitution is water or something like that. So water is it we can co-create with water. Water is a very powerful creative force. So maybe it's about connecting to the spirit of water, water in nature, water in our bodies, the water that we drink, the water that, in our bath and the shower. Um, so maybe it's a time to also bring the blessings of, blessing the water, connecting with the water, bringing imprinting your vision and your dreams into the water and then drinking it and having it as a part of your constitution now. So that's another thing to play with. And just to wrap this up and finish this with one thought. Remember that in the beginning, I spoke about how these polarities the highest intention of these polarities is it's to come together and work as a whole. So to unify Virgo Pisces, at the highest level, it's bringing the sacred, the spirit, the higher realms, God, the universe, the stars, into our daily life, into the way we live, into our lifestyle, into the way we exist. So, living every day, living every moment in this sacred way, seeing everything as sacred, seeing the food we eat, the air we breathe as sacred, the water we drink, the people we talk to, the people we commune with, the bed we sleep in, the earth we live in, the trees and the flowers and the birds and the insects, like everything, like seeing everything as an essential part of life, of source, of God. And in a very simple way, just the awareness of it, I think it's magnificent. So if we can live like that, if we can sustain a way of being where we take these moments to remember how sacred life is and how sacred everything is, how we are sacred. Um, I think it's a beautiful way of bringing these, the Virgo and the Pisces together, and hopefully we can, by living like that, we can make the world a better place, one small step at a time. So I hope this information is helpful to you in your journey, and I hope it's easily integratable. And if you like this sort of content, please give me the thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.